Hey, everybody, welcome back to I Know a Guy. I'm Anthony, and this is the podcast where connections thrive. Each episode, we spotlight inspiring entrepreneurs, professionals, and individuals doing amazing things. Together, we'll grow your circle, spark collaborations, and discover new opportunities. Today, we're meeting Tiffany Alexander, a seasoned real estate investor with nearly 2 decades of experience, specializing in promissory note investing. Having helped over 1,000 people achieve their investment goals, Tiffany shares expert strategies for maximizing returns in real estate and note investing. How are you doing today, Tiffany?
Amazing.
Awesome. Yeah, I was excited to have you on. I really enjoyed our conversation before and was really looking forward to this because there's a lot of people out there that need to know what you do. And I'm just kind of happy that we can get you on here so we can share that. So to start off, to get to know you, where are you located? Where are you calling in from?
I'm in the middle of nowhere in Modesto, California. There's like almond trees and cows where I live.
Yeah, no, middle of nowhere is nice. It kind of, has its own little vibe to it. So how long have you been there? Are you newer to the area or have you been there forever?
I was born and raised mostly here. Then I took a stint in Florida and New York, and then I moved back here. And I think I've been home for like a little over 13 years now. It's been good to be near family again. And I mean, California kind of has everything. And I live in a pretty conservative part of California, so it's not too terrible, but the way it could be. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if you have people coming into town that have never been, especially if somebody's visiting the middle of nowhere, it's different than if somebody's in like Manhattan. What are you doing for fun? Where are you taking them? Where are you guys going for dinner?
Oh man. Well, they grow all of the grapes here too, not just the almonds. And so there's quite a few places that the Gallows have sponsored, and there are wonderful little places downtown that you can go to. And a lot of them aren't like big chains, so you're going to want to support local. That's definitely where I always want to take people first. But my first and foremost is coffee. So I take people all the little local coffee shops where you got to get to know the owner and support them because why not, right? I want them to make it.
Okay, awesome. Well, what about dinner? Like, is there a type of food? Are you a home cook? Do you like going to the restaurants around, or what's that look like?
Oh, we have some of the best fruit pickers ever. So I'm going to tell you, hands down, Mexican food is the best here. And I would take you to a little local taqueria and have some mind blowing, legitimate Mexican food.
Sold. All right, easy. I'm coming. No, that sounds awesome. We don't we get some good Mexican food here in Iowa, but it's not known for it, right? So maybe I don't know what I don't know, but I'd like to try some of that. So awesome. Well, what can you tell us about what you do?
You know what? I described myself to someone recently, and I didn't know that I didn't know that I was a tired landlord. And it turned me into pursuing a different version of being a real estate investor. And I became a real estate investor because I dropped out of college trying to do this. And I thought, oh my gosh, there's got to be a better way, right? I'm not going to cut it with taking these darn tests and finishing physics. I cannot do that. So, what better to watch a late night infomercial to learn how to flip houses and then just go all in? And so, I mostly did that for myself for years and years and years. And now I cannot be quiet with everything that I know. And I want people to know to not just think of the as seen on TV stuff as what you have to do.
Okay, that's interesting. So not to go too terrible far down the rabbit hole, but just a little background there. So what made you be a tired landlord, and it was it just that triggered you and triggered you to make the switch, and then like how did you discover it?
I discovered it because someone straight up said, Tiff, you look like a tired landlord. And I defended it as much as I possibly could. And it was because I had so many rentals. I was a landlord and I had so many flips, and some of them go well and some of them don't go well. It's just kind of a numbers game. And also, if you're doing them remotely, because I really don't do a lot of deals here in California, there's more bang for your buck whenever you go into the middle of the country. And from there, you start to recognize, wow, if I'm not there, I have to hire somebody out, and hopefully they show up, and hopefully the tenants pay. And there's just, as I like to put it, these little notebooks you can get for like 25 cents at Walmart. Well, I could fill up like 1,000 of these little notebooks of how many things could go wrong. And I have lived through and experienced whenever I discovered that you could just own the paper, blew my mind. It was like, what? I could have something along the lines of cash flow coming in with just being their lender versus being their landlord. And it creates this distance, this separation of, oh my gosh, if you're a homeowner and your toilet breaks, you don't call your bank to complain. You call a plumber. And knowing that I never am going to get these phone calls anymore. Tiff, my air conditioner broke, in the middle of summer in South Carolina, or it got stolen for that matter. I've had that happen too. It's so much more refreshing, and knowing that in all reality, you can get a better bang for your buck just being their lender. And I get so excited about that. So I really just want to plant seeds with people to let you know your idea of real estate investing just doesn't have to be rentals or flips.
Yeah, I didn't know that existed until I talked to you. And there's a lot of people out there I imagine are in the same exact boat as me, where you think real estate investing, you're thinking like what you were saying. You're gonna have that. You're gonna have that work. You're gonna have to, go replace that stolen air conditioner or whatever it is. Because there's any, like you said, every one of those things could be full of pages and pages and pages of things that can go wrong. So, did you discover this just off of a infomercial? Is that really what triggered it, or
This version of what I do wasn't off of an infomercial, but through a referral. And you know, you and me were like huge fans of referrals and a person to person to person. And it was somebody sitting in the back of a room where I was kind of hired as the expert to be in the room as the house flipper, and leaned over and was like, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" I was like, I flip houses. I have rentals." And he was like, "Well, I own the paper." And I thought, "What? You're like blowing my mind right now." I thought I knew what I wanted to be when I grew up. And now you've changed my perspective of real estate investing through just crunching numbers and me seeing that I could have way less headaches and way less even money into the deal and getting a stronger rate of return with lower risk blew my mind. And I said, "Tell me more." And it was over the course of knowing this person and letting that unfold. And then really, you have to be the kind of person, as business owners are, you take action on it. So this person said, "Go do this, do this, do this." And I said, immediately, "I'm going to sell all my rental property. I'm going to stop flipping houses. And now I just want to be the lender for people, but a lender with a heart, because you can buy not just people's mortgages where it's actually in good standing, it's they're paying, it's they call it performing paper. You can actually buy non-performing paper where people haven't paid or they're choppy with paying, and I can go and I can get them back to being confident in their home ownership by getting them caught up or reduce fees. And I have the ability, because I can buy their home loan from their lender at a discount, to be able to work with them.
That's awesome, and that's the importance of networking. You don't know what you don't know, even if you've been in the industry for I don't know how long you were in it before, but you can still learn something new, and it just triggers
Yep.
something for you, and then your trajectory veers off, and you're happier, you're healthier, you're more, just overall better. So that's awesome. So, what is it that you love most about this? What you're doing now?
I think planting seeds, encouraging, inspiring. I want people to know that the perspective or this vision that you have of these house flippers on TV, or anything you've ever read online or saw a little video about or read a book about, like Rich Dad Poor Dad said, have a rental. Don't sell your home. Like, go buy another one, and just keep it as a rental. Some people can grow tired of that because they didn't know what they didn't know. And if what I tell them is, hey, you can have that pleasure of having the monthly residual come in to change your income, but not have the headache of a tenant, that concept is just foreign to so many people. So what I strive to do is plant seeds. I may not be the person that you're going to do a deal with, but I certainly want you to know that when you're Googling all of this stuff, that you can dig deeper, and that you don't just have this stop of rentals or this stop of house flipping and that's all you can do. Or, you could buy a tax lien or a deed, or like some sort of a variation, but this is another whole direction that you could go that I feel is much less risky, and you can put less into it, and you're getting a stronger rate of return. And it's not even a whole folder of what could go wrong. It's like 5 or 10 things. Like, oh, they don't pay. All right, let's get them to paying again. Oh, the paperwork's weird. Let's pay a guy $100 to get it fixed. Oh, the we need to foreclose. And you throw a couple $1,000s at it, and it's all done. But I want to get people to stay in their home, and I want people to have that pride of home ownership and work something out with them. But I don't know. I could go. You could tell I could talk forever about it. So
No, that's awesome. You can definitely tell the passion's there. You make this change, and you're like, okay, this is exactly what I wanted the other thing to be, but now I'm happy that I'm here. So that's amazing. So, what advice would you give somebody that's starting off doing kind of something similar to this, or maybe that you would go back and tell yourself, okay, you already talked to the guy, you already know what's going on. That just on the entrepreneur side, that you might want to kind of give people a heads up. Hey, things are great, but also keep an eye out for X, Y, and Z.
that's a great question. I believe that where somebody would start is knowing that you can start for free with like University of YouTube, right? Just make sure you're getting your advice from credible people. And also, there are dedicated seminar companies out there that will charge you upwards of like 50 or $100,000 to learn exactly how you want to learn. There's also just books that you can check out at your library to learn how to do this. Most importantly, I'm going to tell you is I know a guy. And I want them to know that you know me now. You got to reach out to me and you know a guy. And that way I can be potentially like a neutral third party person to give you kind of that push or that direction as to what it felt like for me when I first started my journey from coming out of wanting to be a landlord and owning so many doors and saying, I'm going to flip houses the rest of my life, to knowing there's confidence on just the side of owning the paper.
Yeah, for sure. For the people that are interested in that, like, what are the pain points that they're going through that your method and what you're doing and what you could teach them is going to be the right solution?
The pain points that some people are having if they're just getting started as a baby paper buyer is finding leads, finding inventory. So we work better in numbers, meaning you got to know a guy. You got to come to me. You got to come to the people that are able to move inventory. So that way you can be the person on the list that's going to get a deal that's coming to you. And if you don't want to be bothered with any of that, then you got to know where to go and let someone handle it for you.
Okay. What about power partners? I'm kind of curious. What are other industries or professionals that you might synergize really well with to find collaborative opportunities with?
You'd be surprised. It's really people that understand. It's just this interconnecting web of people. So anybody that's open to learning something that is a unique style of real estate investing, they're a great person to consider. That would be somebody you'd want to get to know. So anybody that wants to come to me, you're willing to at least spend 30 minutes with me, check out a couple of 5-minute videos on my YouTube to give you a foundational understanding of what it is that you're getting into this space and in this world, and that you're open to knowing that you don't know what you don't know and that you're never going to know it all, but we know a guy, right?
No, that's an important part, is just kind of not having that ego get in the way of learning, because then you kind of capped yourself. It's like, no, I know it all. Like if you were talking to that gentleman in the crowd or wherever it was, and he started talking like, listen, I know everything about this business. You'd miss out on this opportunity. You'd miss out on this ability to get this passionate. You'd still be a tired landlord, right? And
Yes.
you would have shot yourself in both feet and not even realized it. So be humble enough to listen to others. So that's awesome. How can a promissory note investing create passive income for real estate investors?
It's going to be along the same manner of how you would create passive income when you purchase a rental, except you're not going to have management fees. You're not going to have acquisition fees. You're not going to have vacancy. You're not going to have all these excessive things that you need to worry about. You're just going to have owning the note, an asset manager fee. That's a debt servicing company for $20 a month, approximately. And then you're going to have your prior income, this the cash flow coming in from the asset that you've purchased. There's infinite ways I could go in the directions of how you can actually even leverage that. Some of the biggest drawbacks I have people say is like, oh man, I want my depreciation. I want my tax write off. Well, if I could just show you, you could actually just make far more of a return than worrying about a write off, then you can come my way. Because I had to be talked out of it too. And I'm willing to have that conversation with you to show you it's not all about depreciation, why you need to have a rental if you could just get a stronger return.
Yeah, no, definitely good to have that in the back of your mind too, because you're weighing it. It's like, is this more valuable or is this more valuable? Do I want the write off or do I want so? Absolutely, it's just numbers in, numbers out. So that makes a lot of sense. How can beginners get started with note investing and building that long term wealth?
This is going to be one of those circumstances that it's hard to actually Google. So if you just say, I want to buy a note, there's not going to be a very definitive place for you to end up because it's a very vague thing. And this, even though the industry is very specific, it's hard to go find. So what I would have you do is just check out our YouTube page so that you can kind of trail off from there. Because what it will start to do naturally is recommend videos that would stay in the industry. So if you come find us, Aspen Sage Fund, Tiffany Alexander, you'll be able to at least watch kind of the baby intro videos of a note versus having a rental, a note versus flipping. Then you would be able to sort of go in the direction of like the free YouTube university. Also, there's some cool books that I do know are being written right now. So keep up with me so that way I could probably put them on my podcast. So that way I could give you some good literature that gets straight to the point and gets you right to the relevant information today.
No, I love that, and that's fantastic advice for everything, right? We have access to the collective knowledge of everybody, right, out there. YouTube is a great resource for going and learning these things. Like you said, kind of hard to Google, and then you might not understand it quite well. You might end up and you spend an hour reading something. You go, this isn't what I thought it was when I started, and now I wasted an hour. So, awesome, fantastic. So, how can real estate investors maximize returns using specialized investment strategies?
You're going to want to identify what is your risk tolerance. And if your risk tolerance is like, man, I don't mind losing my butt and I'll go buy Bitcoin. lovely. I'm so excited for you for that. If you're thinking, man, I have a low tolerance to lose money, then you would more than likely want something that has security against it. And what more of a better way to own a document, just a piece of paper, that's what we buy, that the collateral is against real property. Because that's why we're the bank and we actually even have insurance. If something goes horribly crazy with a property, you're the person that they pay out. So it's just knowing that the security is there. It's not just poof gone in the stock market. It's not Bitcoin wherever it goes, high or low. It's real property and that we're buying it at a discount to get you a stronger return than just sitting in your savings account.
Yeah, I like that. It's tangible. Yeah, it's paper, but it's a thing, right? And then, like to your point, I hadn't even considered, but having that insurance because things happen. Look at all the crazy weather that we've had where that would have stunk. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I really like that. So I know we could probably go down a lot of rabbit holes here. You're
So
clearly
many.
super passionate about everything that you're doing, and you have videos and information about all this stuff that people can find. But is there anything just in general that we missed that you wanted to add?
I just love leaving people with knowing don't quit. Don't give up. You can't be like, well, that real estate thing didn't work. No, no, you didn't work. Like you have to keep trying. It's a numbers game. If you wanted to go flip a house, you probably have to make a couple hundred offers because you're going to make them a certain way. If you want to go do a rental, you're going to have to make certain offers with banks. And I also don't want you to spend a lot of your money to go fiddle around with all this stuff. So find somebody that you trust as an expert and then start to learn from them and kind of go from there.
No, fantastic advice too. And with anything, if you're going to try something, there's a good chance it's going to fail at some point, or you're going to have some sort of failure. And understanding that that's just part of it, you're going to be able to learn from it. I always tell people if you knew all it took to be successful, whatever your version of success was to go fail something 10 times, how fast could you do that? I could have it done in an afternoon, right? I could go do a bunch of different things, fall flat on my face, and that 10th thing takes off, and we're good. So fantastic advice
You
there.
just made me think of my favorite quote. Oh,
Okay.
Bruce Lee. The newbie has, he didn't say newbie, the student has, or the master has failed more than the student has ever tried. And
Hmm.
that's a lot, says a lot.
No, absolutely, it's 100% true. And the more people that realize it and hear it different ways, the better. So that's awesome. So for people that want to know more, where can they find you and how can they get a hold of you?
The funnest way to get a hold of me is right on our YouTube page. So we're at Aspen Sage, and you can find us by typing in Aspen Sage Investment Fund. That's also our website, so aspensagefund.com, and you will be able to find me easily on LinkedIn and just Tiffany Alexander. Or you know what, better yet, go friend Anthony, and then find me as a connection, so that way we can create and continue with this web of people that we want to share all of the amazing people that we've met too.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I'm going to put it all in the show notes. So you don't even have to type it in, just click. Make it as
Yeah.
easy as possible. But if anybody would like to get a hold of Tiffany, do it, right? You're going to be better off. She's the person sitting in the crowd next to you saying, I'm doing this and it's really cool and you should hear about it. You're going to walk away knowing more than you do. Take some time. Take a look at their YouTube, kind of see what they've been doing. Because we haven't even scratched the surface. We're approaching the surface at this point. So there's a lot there. And if you've ever thought about real estate investment, do that. Absolutely. Look out, find out, learn more. If somebody would like to get a hold of me as well, you can find me at ikag.me. You can find more episodes, subscribe to our newsletter, and connect with our growing community of awesome people like Tiffany. If you or somebody you know would like to be interviewed, you can also apply on our website. But Tiffany, I really appreciate you taking the time and pouring into us. A lot of this stuff, like I said, is new to a lot of us. Completely didn't know about it, and then seeing you doing it, you being so passionate about it, it's really inspiring. So I really appreciate that. So let's go have an awesome day and grow our circles. All right.
Totally. I love it.